most of you that are watching this channel probably know a lot about electronics and stuff like I do. I used to do sound for lots of bands, and I've played in bands for years. I played in New York City to Austin, Texas, Florida, and up and down the East Coast anyway. I've had written lots of music. I have lots of music in the Library of Congress. Copywritten stuff and done a lot of recording. Used to have a studio. A bunch of my stuff got stolen after my divorce a while back. I had a lot of Mackie, a lot of nice stuff. Some Roland recording equipment, reel-to-reel, 8-track, 4-track, quarter-inch tape, half-inch tape, 1-inch tape, all that stuff. So here's something that survived. I do have a PA and I have a couple of amps, but this may not look like much, but this is the Peavey MD-12 mixer. It is killer, man. I'm not sure what year it is, but let's see what happens here. I got everything turned down. Let's turn on the old Panasonic. I paid $1 for this like 10 years ago. We're gonna hit play. This is one of my bands just fooling around. Actually, had never played with these guys before. This is our first time playing, so it's just so I don't get a copyright. So if you don't know how this works, you run a bunch of inputs. It could be a stereo or you pan. Well, let's start with the channels. So basically, as you can see, I've got the CD player running into the input there. You can either use the high or low Z, which is impedance, and you can use ins and outs on each channel, which you can run an effect or a dry signal or through just there, or you can run it through the effects send unit on here and then use it on each channel. So a very versatile machine. This is real fake wood here, but the Peavey stuff is bulletproof. As you can see, this thing is dirty. I got a case for it and everything, but do you hear any scratchy? None at all. I mean, none of the controls. You can really boost the EQs. So we'll start with, this is your main. You can set it up for your monitor or mix or a stereo left and right mix if you're playing live and you have stereo instruments like keyboards, or you want to pan with panorama, which is the pan. You can pan things left and right in your main mix. So basically, what I've got going on here is I've panned left and right, the channels left and right. So I don't know if you can hear this or not. Got them running through the JBL studio monitors right now, because my PA speakers, most of them are in my storage unit, as I said. So let's start here. You've got your effects, which you can put reverb or any effect you can run through the main over here, and then you can apply it to any channel you want, any mount you want. So you start with your pan, which puts you left and right, as you can hear maybe. I don't know if that's going to pick up. Anyway, so then pan, effect, send. Okay, we'll put some effects on it, which I have the reverb hooked up. It has a reverb box in it. You ready? Hear the reverb? And I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it up loud. Alright, so now you know how that works, the reverb, which you don't want for music usually. Then you got your EQ. For each channel, you can separately EQ it, so, and you can really EQ it. And no scratchy, as you can tell. The pots are perfect. Mids, actually that sounds pretty good up high. And then your highs. Yes, the speakers are awesome. And the amp we're using right now is just the Sansui AU217, because I don't have the other stuff hooked up, so we're just using the home stereo, so that sounds pretty good. And then you got your monitor sound, which is when you're on stage, you have the monitors facing you so you can hear yourself, hear your own instruments, so you don't have to listen to the house mix. So that's going to be your monitor sound, which we don't have hooked up right now. Gain is going to be your input levels. You want all your inputs for your channels to match and be around 0 dB, which you have the meters here. You can check them for each channel. So I've got these set to where they're about even, to where when your sliders are in the same area, you have the same volume output and it's not clipping on left and right. So basically the same thing for each channel, each instrument, whatever you got going on. If you have the drums on 4 channels, 3 channels, you can do it all. Actually, and just to show you that how great these old Peaveys are, and all original transistors and everything in them. Let's switch over here to the 11 and 12 channels, okay? You hear any scratch or anything? I've never done anything to this. I've had it for years. Let me change this here. Just some other dumb songs. But this is the first time we ever played, and long alcohol soaked night. I think this is Van Morrison or something. Me struggling on guitar, didn't know the song, so don't listen too hard. And I do sing a little backup. Used to be a lot better. This is when I was on hiatus for a while. But you see how dirty everything is here. We'll pan it. No scratch at all. I mean, these pots are so solid. Yeah. There's your effect. No scratchy. There's the bass, as you can hear, it's cranking. And you don't want this to go much over 0, so you'll still have your headroom without distortion. That's what the meters I've got set up left and right. You can set one left and one up for the sum of the channel output in the front of house, and then you can use one for your monitor. Very versatile machine, though, to be as old as it is. So you got lots of trouble there if you need it. And then some keys in there. No scratchy. They turn so smoothly. I mean, we're not using a monitor mix here. There's your gain. It's like a rough, very rough slider, like for the sliders down here. Oh, I'm sorry. And this is the volume. Your volume for each channel, so you can mix the volumes here, and then your output volume or send to the amplifiers is here. I'm sorry. And this would be, you can use that for anything there. So, no scratch. You hear that? I mean, these sliders are just so smooth, and you see how dusty it is. I mean, this thing's been through hell. It doesn't scratch at all. So let's try a couple more channels here. We'll go to, well, let's just say 5 and 6. No, let's do 6 and 7. Just random numbers, and we'll see if there's any scratch in there at all. None whatsoever. You hear that? So we're going to pan it, separate left and right, and then you don't really want any effect on it there. And then your low frequencies will turn up just a little bit. Mids sound good because this is recorded on a VS880 Roland, and I had 2 SM57 mics just sitting in the room. It was random, and we were, the CD players decided to give up there. It's scratchy CD, I'm sure. Yeah, let's just come on back to something else here, see what happens. Taking forever here. Okay, so here's those other channels we were looking at, which was 6 and 7. I love this thing. I've used it out. It's very reliable. It's it sounds so good. No noise. It's just incredible. So there's your. I'm sorry, I had the left channel turned off. You want to try to get them where your sliders are even, and you want your you don't want to go much over 0, so you don't lose your headroom. And then you want your gains to be about even. See, I'm running it a little hard here because my input out of this CD player is running on batteries and it's not real high. So I'm running that a little high there. So I'm going to turn it down. See that? But the awesome Peavey. And then here's a look at the back panel here. A lot of things you can do with this thing. I mean, I've used it for recording. It's got stereo outs. It does not have any RCAs or any of that stuff. Let me take a look at the signal path back here, like I showed you on the Peavey. The cool thing about Peavey is they show you the signal path on the back of each device, or they used to. I'm looking for a flashlight. So here's your signal path, as I showed you on the Peavey bass amp, the Peavey Basic 50. Runs on 20 watts, or uses 20 watts consumption. Fairly complicated wiring in this thing, I mean, for these soundboards, you know. I will look up the information on this thing, what year it is and all that crap. But, awesome. Now we got a little bit of 3-part harmony in there. So that'll be Ron Huff, H&H Builders. I'm sure you've seen him around. That's Ron Huff singing there and playing keys, and some other guys I know. Very dusty. Not one scratchy pot or slider anywhere. Thanks y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video on the Peavey MD-12. Focus.